Hi there, Dr. Richard Finn from the Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA in Los Angeles, California, where I am a professor in the Department of Medicine and the Division of Hematology Oncology. So it's been 5 years since the approval of atezolizumab and bevacizumab as the frontline standard of care for patients with advanced liver cancer. That was based on the IMbrave 150 study, which demonstrated that atezo-bev, a PD-L1 and anti-VEGF antibody, were better than the standard of care at the time, which was sorafenib. Now, that regimen improved objective response, improved progression-free survival, and most importantly, overall survival, with a very manageable side effect profile. But let's be honest, we have not yet cured advanced liver cancer, and there's certainly need for improvement. And the current study, IMbrave 152, or Skyscraper 14, grew out of a platform that was evaluating ways to improve on atezo-bev. And really, it was what was called the Morpheus study, and we published results with tiragolumab in combination with atezo-bev earlier this year, which showed that in about 40 patients, the objective response rate was 42% with a progression-free survival of about 11 months. Now that compared somewhat favorably to IMbrave 150, where the response rate was 30% and PFS was about 7 months. So this was felt to be a signal that the triplet might be better than the doublet, and that led to 152, which was a global, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study of tiragolumab, an anti-TIGIT antibody, another checkpoint, in combination with atezo-bev versus atezo-bev and placebo, with the primary endpoints, dual endpoints of progression-free survival and overall survival, keeping in mind that the study population was very similar to IMbrave 150, meaning advanced liver cancer in the frontline setting that was well-compensated, Child-Pugh A, and good performance status. So what we presented at this ESMO 2025 was the primary analysis for the endpoint of progression-free survival. Unfortunately, the study was negative. There was no benefit of adding tiragolumab to atezo-bev. The PFS in both arms was about 8 months. Objective response rate in the triplet was about 30%, and in the doublet about 26%. This is all with a median follow-up of 12.5 months. And the toxicity profile in both arms was largely similar. Low incidence of steroid use, low incidence of high-grade bleeding, but we did see hypertension and proteinuria, things we see with bevacizumab. However, the addition of tiragolumab did increase infusion reactions as well as dermatologic events like rash and itching. So, taken together, this study did not demonstrate that adding tiragolumab improved outcomes for patients, but now in a population of about 660 patients, we have another strong data set supporting the importance of atezo-bev in frontline liver cancer. Now in a large, double-blind, placebo-controlled study, objective response rates are very consistent with IMbrave 150. Progression-free survival, very consistent with IMbrave 150. Toxicity with atezo-bev, very consistent with IMbrave 150, very safe and manageable. So all of this data together should give us confidence that 5 years after the initial approval, atezo-bev still remains an important part of our treatment armamentarium for patients. So the bar is very high in frontline liver cancer. I think that's one thing we learned. Atezo-bev is a very hard regimen to beat. And the fact that this study did not improve PFS, the primary endpoint, or ORR significantly, or overall survival at this point, this regimen will not replace atezo-bev, right? It won't be approved because it was a negative study. But as I mentioned before, this study firmly establishes the importance of atezo-bev in frontline liver cancer because of its activity in patients with high-risk features such as main portal vein invasion or VP4 invasion characteristics that are not included in other frontline phase 3 studies. In this setting, we recapitulated the tumor control, high objective response rate, long PFS, and safety that we saw initially. And I think in combination now with all the real-world evidence that's been developed with atezo-bev in advanced liver cancer, all of us should be very comfortable using this doublet. With that said, in the future, hopefully there will be a triplet, right? We do want to do better. I'm just not sure what that's going to be right now. I think we still need a little more effort, a little more research to try to figure that out.